Thank you for watching this video. To best support the channel, please take a moment and click the subscribe button. Also, the links to purchase this fly and the materials to tie the fly are in the description. Welcome back to another fly tying video. In the vise, we have a Moonlit Tagata ML501 hook with a 3.5mm slotted fluorescent orange tungsten bead. And we're going to go ahead and start by dropping 25 thread wraps to help lock that bead into place. And then we'll trim off our tying thread here in just 1 second. We're going to be tying up a fly pattern that was introduced to me by a good friend, Brad. And he goes by Flying Bear on Instagram. Make sure you check him out. He ties up some awesome flies. A couple of weeks ago, he sent me over a pattern that he has caught a lot of fish with recently. And he said I could go ahead and tie up a YouTube tutorial video for it. He calls it the Sexy Walt's Leech. It's a cool little variant pattern. I just put a small drop of super glue to help lock down our pine squirrel zonker that we're going to tie in. We're going to measure that out to be 1 hook length and total length. And we'll measure that out, trim it to make it the right size, and we'll put that right over the top of that little dot of super glue and tie that into place. And I'm going to quickly twist my thread to get it to cord a little better so that it will go right where I want it to rather than kind of doing a loose loop. So we'll tie that in, do a couple of tight locking wraps, make sure that's all the way down, and then we'll just advance our thread for a second. We're going to let that super glue cure for a couple of seconds, make it so that it's not going to get on our fingers when we're tying anything else in. The next thing we're going to do is grab a piece of pearl flashabou, and we're going to tie that in so that it's on our side of the hook. And we're going to have that run parallel with the hook, so when we tie it right here, those last couple of pieces, it's going to be pointing straight back in line with the hook. That's going to give us a consistent counter wrapping point once we start counter wrapping that over some dubbing. So what we're going to grab now is some Leech dubbing from Fly Tier's Dungeon, and it's in a black Leech color. This is a black dubbing with some red flash in there. We're just going to break it into smaller pieces. It's a longer fiber by nature. Break it into smaller pieces so it dubs nicely onto our thread. Create a little dubbing noodle and work our way back to our tie-in point. And just cover everything up so that it's got a nice consistent look to it. We're going to build that forward taper like you see so commonly on many nymphs and other flies. And we're just going to keep wrapping our dubbing on there, build up our body. And I'm going to do this a couple of times. I don't want to have too much dubbing on there. I'd rather start with too little and dub it on there and then just keep building over time rather than putting way too much on there and having an abnormal looking fly. So I'm going to get a couple more pieces of dubbing on there, build up that slight taper that you can see, and get it to go right behind the bead head. Do one more pinch of dubbing here just to fill that in a little bit. It feels a little empty right behind that bead. And then we'll go ahead and grab our flashabou, and we're going to counter wrap this. We're going to go over the top of the fly 5 times. There we got 1, 2, not quite happy with that wrap. Let me get it a little better. 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's going to butt up right against the bead. I'm going to wrap over one more time just to give myself a better tie-off point, but I have 5 wraps of that flashabou. Wrap twice in front, twice behind. There we go, twice behind. And that will allow me to pull that out of the way, trim it off. And what I'll do now is I will grab just a tiny bit more dubbing, dub up against the bead head, just to give me a look that I like. Got a long wispy fiber there. I'll trim that out here in 1 second. Lock my thread in nice and tight. Grab my whip finish tool. And go ahead and throw in a whip finish. And I try to have my thread Then I'm pulling tight cinch up on top of the fly because that's where I'll be dropping a little bit of UV resin to help me secure this fly and give it just a little bit more added durability. So I'll grab some Raid Zap Thin and drop it in that little slotted compartment on the back of the bead head. Drop that in there a couple times, let it sink in before we cure it, and that'll give this fly just a little bit of extra durability and hopefully make it so that it can catch a handful more fish before any toothy little brook trout or what other fish are eating this, before one of those little teeth get in there and rip it even more to shreds. So we'll let that sink in, we'll grab our UV light and give that a cure, and the fly will be finished. Once again, thank you for watching my YouTube videos. Truly appreciate it. Thank you again, Brad, for recommending this fly. And as always, in the description of the video is a link back to the blog that'll show the materials and links to purchase everything, including the fly. Thank you. Please take a moment to subscribe. Appreciate it.